When I was a kid, the first adult novel that I ever read was titled Desperation by Stephen King. I was an instant Stephen King fan, and he's my favorite writer to this day. Today I'm ranking my favorite 15 Stephen King books. Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 15 is a Richard Bachman novel, Blaze. This one is about a man named Clayton Blaisdell Jr. He's a petty criminal. He's wandering around in Maine, committing crimes, ends up kidnapping a famous man's daughter. And what I really loved about this book is that it's Stephen King's take on Of Mice and Men, the famous classic by John Steinbeck. There are many parallels between the two works, and King focuses in on the theme of love in this one. I'm really surprised that this book isn't a more recognized King novel. Number 14, The Eyes of the Dragon. This one is a YA novel that King wrote for his daughter, and it's an Arthurian tale. I really love this one because we get some history of the gunslingers from the Dark Tower series. We get to investigate the line of Eld, and who plays the evil Merlin in this one? None other than the recurring Stephen King character, Randall Flagg. I really loved the fact that this one fills in a great piece of the Dark Tower series history, and I thought it was a fantastic YA novel. Number 13, Needful Things. This one is a true horror novel, and in it, Leland Gaunt sets up shop in Castle Rock, Maine, and he opens a junk store where he works out some unique bargains with his customers. He basically sets the entire town of Castle Rock against one another, and I really loved how gruesome this tale was, and I really enjoyed the fact that it boils to a climax. Number 12, the first piece of adult fiction that I ever read, Desperation. This one takes place in Desperation, Nevada, and there's an evil entity named Tack who possesses his victims. He takes them over, using them as hosts, and he ends up killing them. They rot within when Tack takes over their bodies. And in this one, Tack locks a group of people in the local jail, and they have to try to escape and survive. I really liked this one because of the gruesome nature, similar to Needful Things, and I really thought that Stephen King does a great job generating suspense in this novel, and this was the one that hooked me as a Stephen King fan. Number 11, Everything's Eventual. This one is a collection of 14 short stories, including one of my favorites of all time, The Man in the Black Suit. It's about a little boy that goes fishing on his own in the woods one day where he encounters the devil himself. My other favorite in this book is The Little Sisters of Illyria, which is a prelude to the Dark Tower series. We're with Roland, the gunslinger, on the beam, once again hunting for the tower. That was a big surprise for me, and I really enjoyed every single short story in this collection. Number 10, The Shining. This is one of Stephen King's most popular works. It's about a haunted hotel. Jack Torrance decides to take on the job of caretaker for the Overlook Hotel, wintering there with his family, and the Overlook is haunted. Jack's little boy Danny has the shining, this intuition, this psychic ability, and he can see the ghosts in the hotel. This is a great story. Jack Torrance turns against his family because of the influence of the ghosts, and all hell breaks loose, basically, in this book. Really loved this one. Thought it was a tense and suspenseful book. It's absolutely my favorite ghost story of all time. Number 9, 4 Past Midnight. This one is a collection of 4 novellas. Secret Window, Secret Garden, The Langoliers, the library policeman, and the sundog. I really, really loved each piece in this collection. Secret Window, Secret Garden was made into a movie with Johnny Depp. Fantastic, fantastic psychological thriller. And I especially appreciated the sundog, which is a piece of the Castle Rock tale. It's a prelude, basically, to Needful Things, and we get to meet Pop Merrill. Really loved this collection because each one was a true and dark horror story. Number 8, Dolores Claiborne. This is a book about a woman named Dolores Claiborne, and it's about her life. It opens up with her talking with the police. It's her narrative about all these horrible things that have happened to her within her life. It's about her job working as a caretaker with an evil woman named Vera, and it's about her abusive relationship with her husband, and it's ultimately about redemption. You know, Dolores Claiborne really got me to empathize with her. I think an author hits a home run if they can pull at your heartstrings and get you to root and be all in for a character. And I just can't say enough about how much I appreciated and love Dolores Claiborne. Number 7, Mr. Mercedes. This one is about a retired detective named Bill Hodges, and he has to take on a killer with a master plan. Really loved this mystery. I really loved the characters in this book. Holly Gibney is a woman who has some mental problems. She has a kind of obsessive-compulsive disorder, but she's such a lovable character, and I really think that King put together one of the best teams of characters that I've ever read by him. I was engrossed in this mystery, and it's one of the best King books that I have ever read. Number 6, 11/22/63. This one is a time travel story about a man named Jake Epping who goes back in time in an attempt to prevent the John F. Kennedy assassination. Much of the novel is about his time spent in the late 1950s and early 1960s. He has to track down Lee Harvey Oswald so that he can try to stop him from shooting Kennedy. This book was great. I loved the time travel theme involved. It worked out really well for me. I was just totally engrossed in this one, and there's a great romance in it as well. Number 5, Under the Dome. This one takes place in Chester's Mill, Maine. And one day, out of the blue, this impenetrable dome covers the city, and people are trapped inside. Our protagonist is Dale Barbara. He tries to get a team together of people to keep the peace, and our antagonist is Big Jim Rennie, who's basically an insane psychopath who's trying to kill people. A lot of mayhem in this book. This may be the longest book that I've ever read. It's well over 1,000 pages in the hardback, and I was really surprised about the fact that none of it was slow for me. I ripped right through this book. I thought the concept was absolutely phenomenal, and the ending, my friend, is really controversial, but I thought it couldn't have been any better. Number 4, Duma Key. This one is about a rich man named Edgar Fremantle. He loses his arm in a construction accident, and his life falls apart. He moves to the fictional Floridian Key of Duma to try to relax, to try to find himself, and while he's on Duma Key, he realizes that there are some extraordinary supernatural things happening. 2 things that I thought were just great about this book. The antagonist is a unique one, Persai. I've never read anything like her, and I thought that the characters were brilliant. Wireman may be the coolest Stephen King character Of them all, I'm absolutely shocked, my friends, that this Stephen King book isn't more recognized. Number 3, Misery. This one is a great novel about a psychopath named Annie Wilkes. She kidnaps her favorite author, Paul Sheldon, and she takes him to her house and imprisons him in a bedroom, forcing him to write a book for her. This one is above and beyond because of the nature of Annie Wilkes. She's one of the best Stephen King characters, hands down, and I loved the fact that Stephen King manages to create such a suspenseful atmosphere in a bedroom. Number 2, The Drawing of the Three. This one is the second installment in the Dark Tower series epic, and it's the most imaginative Stephen King novel that I have ever read. Maybe the most imaginative book overall that I've ever read. In it, we're with the gunslinger on a beach as he's making his way to the Dark Tower, and he's assembling his team, his quartet, his destiny partners that will accompany him on his journey. The Dark Tower is the greatest thing that I have ever read. I love it so much. Even have a tattoo inspired by the series, The Eye of the Crimson King. I just love everything about this series, and I'm not sure that there's any negative critique I can give to The Drawing of the Three. Finally, friends, we have arrived at number 1, my favorite Stephen King novel. I bet you didn't guess it. Hearts in Atlantis. This book is a compilation with 2 novellas and several short stories that follow. The first piece in this collection is titled Low Men in Yellow Coats, which is a Dark Tower companion novella. It's my favorite connection to the Dark Tower by far. It's a great story about an old man named Ted Brodigan who plays a role in the Dark Tower series, and about a boy named Bobby Garfield who befriends him. Although I love Low Men in Yellow Coats, I think the best story in this collection is the second novella titled Hearts in Atlantis, and it's about the Vietnam era, and it's about going to a university at that time. Much of this story is inspired by Stephen King's own life and experiences on a university campus. I think that this may be the best piece by King that I've ever read concerning just the quality of the writing itself. Really loved the characters and the friendships and the hardships in this one, and I was just stunned by how much I enjoyed it. The short stories in this collection are great as well. They're all connected because a character is in them that was in the first story, Low Men in Yellow Coats, and that brings them all together. Of the short stories, my favorite is one called Blind Willie. It's about a man who pretends to be blind so that he can panhandle in New York City, in Manhattan, and he makes a fortune. Well, there you go, my friends. Are you surprised by any of my picks? Are you surprised that Hearts in Atlantis is my favorite by King? Let me know in the comments. I want to let you all know that you can join me on social media. I'll drop the links in the description. Thank you all for stopping by for my ranking 15 Stephen King books. I appreciate the support, my friends, and I'll see you next time.